Hey friend, a quick update for you. My website is officially live. I'm so excited. You can check it out at reneemat.com. And my name is spelled a little bit different, so people get hung up on it sometimes, but it's Renae. And I'll make sure the link is in the show notes in case you need to just click that and get to the website. But this website is where you're going to find all the things that I talk about here on the podcast. Plus, I've officially opened the wait list for my upcoming course. So, if you've been wanting some extra support to finally get those 5 foundational routines working for real life, you'll definitely want to get on that list so that you are the first to know when doors open. The new website is going to be your go to spot to learn more about me, check out those resources I mentioned on the podcast, and get that support if you're ready to create routines and systems that actually work for real life. So when you're done listening, head to reneemat.com, take a look around, pop your name on that wait list. I cannot wait for you to see it. Do you ever struggle with trying to clean your home quickly? Do you ever find that every time you clean, it takes up half your day and you can't seem to figure out how to not be cleaning for 6 hours every time you want to reset your home? If that's the case, you probably need a new cleaning routine, or maybe you need to create one for the very first time. It's time to talk about my simple 5 step cleaning routine to quickly reset any room in your home. Are you ready to stop the chaos, the stress, the overwhelm that's filling your life? I'm Renae Matt, and together you and I are going to build simple routines that are going to change your life. When you put these habits into practice, you're going to be able to organize your life in a way where you can be there for your family, pay off your debt, save money, your house can stay organized, you don't have to stress about what's for dinner, and you still get time for yourself. So without further ado, let's get started. Welcome to the Routine Advantage Podcast. The benefit of creating routines is that we can build a system that works and then it is repeatable. And when it's repeatable, we don't have to think about it so much. It's just something that becomes an action of what we do without having to spend so much time trying to decide. We get the decision fatigue, and it just kind of wears us out when we're constantly having to figure out what we should be doing. And when we are spending our day cleaning constantly and it never seems to end, and it almost feels like it's messier when we end versus when we started because we are just so scattered and distracted and we're doing all these different projects. We need to just take a full reset and we need to figure out a different plan. Now, the routine that I'm talking about today is different than what I typically talk about. I usually talk about the Daily 7 home routine. And the Daily 7 home routine is part of the 5 foundational routines that I teach here on the podcast and in my upcoming course, which you can find out about at reneemat.com if you want to take a look at that. But the Daily 7 home routine is a routine to quickly reset your home in 30 minutes or less. And it's looking at specific tasks throughout your home. It's not really focusing on one single room. However, it could be because your Daily 7 home routine is customized completely to you. So if that's how you want to do it, you certainly could. However, when I'm looking at the Daily 7 home routine, I'm looking at my home as a whole and pulling out the 7 main priority tasks that I think are important for me to have reset so that I feel like my home is more tidy overall. Today, what I'm talking about is more of a focus on a specific room or area. Now, this could mean that this room is just a little bit messy or just needs to be tidied up a little bit, or it could mean that your room that you're walking into is a disaster. So, no matter what type of room you're walking into, there are 5 steps that will help give you a plan and a system to walk into that space and be able to reset it as quickly as possible. You could definitely go in and do the process and copy this specific 5 step routine that I use for yourself, and maybe it will work great for you. But if it doesn't, make sure you kind of test it out and tweak it to what works best for you because your brain might not work exactly the same as mine, but that's okay. When you have a framework to begin with, you can test this out, see how it works for you, and then just make the adjustments as it works for you. So, before we go into the actual 5 step routine, I just want to mention that if you are new here and you don't know about the daily 7 home routine that I just mentioned to reset your home, you can go back to some previous episodes here on the podcast that will help you get yours set up if that's the type of routine that you're looking for in this particular situation. So, episode 5, episode 23, and episode 136 are just a few that I would highlight that you could go back and learn about the daily 7 home routine, get yours set up, and even copy mine. With those episodes. But what we're going to talk about today is my simple, I can't talk, my simple 5 step cleaning routine to quickly reset a room in your home. Now, when I was making my outline for this episode, I started writing down the steps that I do when I do a full room reset. And it always seems to be the same every time. And I started thinking about it. I'm like, okay, I do this in the kitchen, I do it in bedroom, I do it in an office, I do it in the living room. So it's like I use this, I do it in a bathroom, I do this in the same steps every time I go in and reset a room because it works really well for me. And this is something that I've done for years without even realizing that it was an actual official routine for me because it worked well and I just kept repeating it. And now looking back, it's like, okay, this has worked really well for me because I built a routine and I started repeating it. So when I went through and I started outlining this episode, I came up with the 5 R words to help kind of give you the picture to make it a little bit easier to remember. But like I said, take this routine, copy it, and then tweak it as you want to. So maybe you'll have a completely different step than I do. Maybe you'll just move them around and do them in a different order because that flows a little bit better for how you work. But just think about what you could do and how you could tweak it to work for you. Or maybe you just copy it completely and duplicate this for yourself and it works perfectly fine. So you just have to make it work for you. But we're going to go into the 5 steps and they are all starting with the letter R. So it is remove, reset, refill, refresh, return. Okay. So we're going to go through those 5 steps. Step number 1 is remove. When you are walking into a space, you need to remove anything that does not belong. If it's garbage, if it is dishes, if it is something that goes into a different room, we're going to just gather all of that stuff up first. Now, if your room isn't super messy, this is going to be very quick. But if your room is very messy, like literally go in with a trash trash bag and go gather up all of the garbage. Go get a little bin or a bowl or something and gather up any ditches. Gather, like, maybe grab a basket or a box and gather up any items that do not belong in this room and just gather them. That is what we're focusing on first. We're not focusing on anything else. We are just removing items that do not belong in this room or we want to take out. Now, you don't have to do anything with these at first. Just set them off to the side or at the doorway or anything like that. We're just removing these items from the space. Then we're moving to step 2 and we're going to reset. This is where anything that is remaining in the room now should belong in this room. So at this point, we are resetting those items. If it is putting away, the pillows or straightening the pillows on the couches, or if it's folding up the blankets, or it's putting items that are kind of scattered back where they belong in this room. So that is this step. We are now resetting the room. Then we're going to move to number 3 or step 3, which is refill. And this is where you take some time to restock any items that need to be restocked in this room. So, are you refilling any essential oil diffusers? Are you refilling a box of tissues or replacing a box of tissues, I should say? Are you refilling the toilet paper holder or putting a new roll on the actual roll stand? Are you refilling any cleaners that go in this room that are now empty? Anything that needs to be refilled or restocked, maybe it's a hand soap dispenser, maybe it's a dish soap dispenser, anything like that that needs to be refilled or restocked, this is the time to do that. And then you're going to move to step 4, which is refresh. And this is where you're going to do the actual cleaning process because now your room has been reset, it is refilled, and everything has been taken out that does not belong. And now it's time to clean it. So, whether that is sweeping, mopping, vacuuming, dusting, wiping things down, anything that needs to be refreshed, this is the time to do that. And then you move to step 5, which is return. And that is the time where you take those items that are by the doorway and you return them to where they belong. So, whether it is taking that trash out to the garbage can, whether it is pulling the box of items that do not belong here, maybe those go and you actually go to the other rooms in the house and you start putting those away where they do belong. Or if it's the dishes, you go and return those to the kitchen and you put them in the dishwasher. Things or wash them at that point. But those are the steps that you wanna do, and you will have your room reset very quickly, and when you repeat this process, it allows you to really, really hone in and focus on one single room at a time. You can get that space done and reset, and you can move on to the next room. And if you're doing your entire house in this process where you're doing a very big deep clean, instead of randomly going from one room to another and putting this away and then getting distracted and starting another project in another room, and then all of a sudden you remember you have to go back to the other room because it's torn apart and it's only half cleaned, and then you are getting pulled into so many different directions that it's hard to keep your house clean. And if you have other people in your home, they might be making messes in the room that you just half cleaned and now you have to go back and clean up their mess, and it can just get really chaotic. And this is a way to get in the space, spend your time in that space without getting distracted. That's why we wait until the end to actually return things. We want to reset the space and then move on. Now, there are some caveats here. You can adjust these, like I said, and reorder them in a way that works for you. So it's possible, like, and sometimes I do this as well where I go from step 3 of refilling everything, and then I move to step 5, where I actually return everything at that time, and then I move on to a different room, and I keep the refresh step to actually go through the entire house at once. So that is something that you could consider doing if it feels like it's too choppy to focus on one room and do the cleaning process and then move to another room. You could go through, you could remove everything, reset everything, refill everything, and then return things. And then once you're done moving through all of the different areas or rooms in your home that you're doing this routine in, then at that point, you're like, okay, everything is done, everything's reset, everything's refilled. Now it's time to go through and refresh. I'm going to take the vacuum cleaner and I'm going to go through the entire space where I'm going through all of these rooms individually and doing that final fifth step. So that is something you could consider doing. But again, it's just one of those adjustments that you have to make for yourself depending on what works better for you. But having these specific steps where you can focus, it helps you to keep that focus so that you're not getting distracted and it doesn't become so chaotic to try and clean and reset your home. So, this is something that I would encourage you to try, especially if you find that you're spending multiple hours at a time trying to clean your home. Do this and see how long it takes you because you could even set a timer and say, okay, I'm going to walk into this room and I'm going to try and get through these 5 steps in 10 minutes. And if you don't get it in 10 minutes, then reset your timer for another 10 minutes and see how many times do you have to reset that timer to clean this space. So it's like, okay, this one room was really, like, messy and chaotic, but it took me, 25 minutes to clean it this time. Okay, well, then it took you 25 minutes. So then next time you have to come into this room, hopefully you're building those habits to keep it tidy, and then maybe next time it only takes you 20 minutes to reset it. And then the next time maybe it only takes you 15 because you're building in these habits and routines to help maintain the tidiness throughout that time where it doesn't feel like a bomb went off inside this room and you have to go in and reset the entire thing from top to bottom every single time. Over time, you will get better and better, and your family will also learn these habits as well when they can see how they can live in a tidy home just by making really small tweaks, and it takes off more, or it takes more off your plate later on, because then you don't have to spend so much time trying to clean this room. So I hope that this was helpful for you, and I hope it gives you some ideas to kind of brainstorm and make some changes and be able to actually have a plan. Even if that room is a nightmare to walk into, we can quickly reset these rooms as long as we have a solid plan that we can default to, so that we don't have to spend so much time. We want to go in and focus on one room at a time and go through it as quickly as possible, so that we can really get our time back and start spending it on the things that matter most to us, not being stressed about trying to clean our homes and getting frustrated with that. We want to enjoy our homes. We want to be comfortable in our spaces. And this is one more way to do that, where you can quickly reset it and be happy within your home and go and spend time doing the things that you love, because you no longer will have to worry about spending so much time cleaning, because you've got a system and it's being taken care of. So, this is what I'm hoping that you get out of this podcast. But I will go through those 5R steps with you. So, it's a simple 5-step cleaning routine to quickly reset any room in your home using the 5Rs. It's number one, remove. This is where you are getting rid of anything that does not belong: garbage, dishes, anything that goes into another room. You're getting it all out of the space and you are putting it by the doorway. Number two is reset. This is where anything that is remaining in the room now gets put away. This is, you are resetting the space. Step number three is refill. This is the time to restock or refill any items that need to be refilled: tissues, toilet paper, cleaners, dish soap, hand soap, anything that needs to be refilled this is the time to do that. Step number four is refresh. And this is where you actually go in and you clean the space. You're sweeping, mopping, vacuuming, dusting, anything like that. And then you go to step 5, which is return. And that is where you gather up everything that is now by the doorway and you go and put it all away before moving on to the next room in your home. And this is the way that you do that. You can reorganize these steps however it works for you and adjust them. You always test and tweak. We always talk about testing and tweaking, and that's what you can do with this routine. But hopefully it will help give you a system and a plan to be able to focus and not get distracted and very quickly reset your home, so that you can move on with your day and start enjoying life more rather than being stressed about cleaning. Did you love that episode or learn something useful? If so, would you do me a huge favor? My goal is to grow this podcast and help as many women as I can break free from the overwhelm so they can truly enjoy their life. The best way for me to do this is for you to leave a 5-star written review on your podcast app and to share this episode with a friend or in your Instagram stories. I appreciate you being here. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you on the next episode. Take care.